The Fountain of Youth. Among the Spaniards who flocked to America in the hope of finding gold, there was a certain officer whose name was Juan Ponce de Leon. He had distinguished himself in the Spanish army and was very rich. He also had much influence with the king, so much in fact, that he was soon appointed governor of all the eastern part of Haiti. While attending to his duties in Haiti, he learned that at some distance farther eastward there was a rich island abounding in gold and other precious metals. The Indians called this island Borinquen. It was the same land which Columbus had discovered a few years before and called Puerto Rico. Ponce de Leon was so much pleased by the reports which were brought to him of the great wealth of Puerto Rico that he at once made up his mind to get that wealth for himself. The King of Spain was very willing to please him, and to have a share of the profits, and therefore appointed him governor of Puerto Rico. Ponce was not a man to waste time in any undertaking. With 8 stanch ships and several hundred men, he at once set sail for his new province, and in due time landed upon the island. The natives were kind and gentle. They welcomed the white men to their pleasant country and tried to help them in such ways as they could. Ponce de Leon repaid them as the Spaniards at that time usually repaid a kindness. He robbed them of all they had and made slaves of as many as he could. Then, at length, the harassed savages turned against their oppressors and tried to drive them from the island. But what could they do against enemies so cunning and strong? Ponce was as heartless and unfeeling as any wild beast. Soon the once happy island was filled with distress and terror. The Indians were hunted from their homes. Thousands of them were killed, and the rest became the slaves of the conquerors. Ponce began to form a settlement at a place now called Pueblo Viejo, but he soon changed his plans and removed to a fine harbor on the north shore of the island. There he laid out the city of San Juan. He built for himself, near the mouth of the harbor, a grand house which he called Casa Blanca, or the White Castle, and there he made his home for some time. But with all his wealth, Ponce was not happy. He had lived so carelessly and wildly that his youth went from him early. At 50 years of age, he was a miserable old man. There was no more joy in the world for him. One day, as he was sitting unhappy in the White Castle, a thing occurred that kindled a spark of hope in his despairing mind. He overheard an Indian slave say, "In Bimini, no one grows old." "Bimini? What is Bimini?" he asked. "It is a beautiful island that lies far, far to the north of us," was the answer. "Tell me about it." "There is a fountain there, a spring of clear water, the most wonderful in the world. Everyone that bathes in it becomes as young and strong as he was in his best days. No one grows old in Bimini." "Have you ever been there?" "Ah, no. It is too far away for any of our people to make the voyage, but we have heard talk of the fountain all our lives." Ponce asked other Indians about Bimini and its magic fountain. All had heard of it. It was a land fragrant with flowers. It lay far to the northwest, too far for frail canoes to venture, but the great ships of the white men could easily make the voyage in a few days. Ponce made up his mind to discover the fountain. He first got the king's permission to conquer Bimini, wherever it might be. Then, with 3 ships and a number of followers, he sailed toward the northwest. He passed through the great group of islands known as the Bahamas, and wherever there were natives living, he stopped and made inquiries. "Where is Bimini? Where is the magic fountain of youth?" They pointed to the northwest. It was always a little farther and a little farther. No one had ever seen the fountain, but Ponce understood that everyone had heard of it. At length, after leaving the Bahamas far behind them, the Spaniards discovered a strange coast where the land seemed to be covered with flowers. Was this Bimini? Nobody could tell. The coast stretched so far northward and southward that Ponce felt sure it was no island, but the mainland of a continent. The day was Easter Sunday, which in Spain is called Pascua de Flores, or the Feast of Flowers. For this reason, and also because of the abundance of flowers, the Spaniards named the land Florida. Ponce de Leon went on shore at many places and sought for the wonderful fountain. He drank from every clear spring, he bathed in many a limpid stream, but his lost youth did not come back to him. He sailed southward and around to the western coast of Florida, asking everywhere, "Is this Bimini? And where is the Fountain of Youth?" But the Indians who lived there had never heard of Bimini, and they knew of no Fountain of Youth. And so, at last, the search was given up, and Ponce returned disappointed to Puerto Rico. 9 years passed, and then he sailed again for Florida. This time he took a number of men with him in order to conquer the country and seize upon whatever treasures he might find there. More than this, he expected to explore its woods and rivers, and seek again for the mysterious Fountain of Youth. The Florida Indians did not have any treasures, but they were brave and loved their homes. They would not be conquered and enslaved without a struggle. They therefore fell upon the Spaniards when they landed, and drove them back to their ships. Ponce de Leon was struck by an arrow. He was wounded in the thigh. "Take me back to Spain," said he, "for I shall never find the Fountain of Youth." His ship carried him to Cuba, but no skill could heal his wound. He lingered in pain for a long time, and then died, bewailing his lost youth.